Right, time now for a browse through the world papers with Diptyque Laurent. Dipty, we are, of course, starting with those pro-unity demonstrations in Barcelona yesterday. They're dominating headlines today.
That's right, dominating headlines across the Spanish papers as well. Rochelle, let's take a look at a few front pages. The end of the silent voices, that's what El Periódico says on its front page, a Spanish daily. The paper says that the anti-independent movement demonstrated yesterday in favor of Spanish unity, while El Mundo, another daily paper, says they will not divide Spain. That's a headline from their front page today. So we're seeing very defiant headlines and overwhelming approval for those demonstrations in Barcelona yesterday.
And a lot of approval from editors at this push for unity.
That's right. The papers across the board are pretty much hailing this unity march yesterday. I quote El País, which says, "The silent majority finally ended its silence to make its voice heard." And what we saw yesterday was the plurality of this movement. Yesterday's demonstration was a defeat for the independentists, while La Vanguardia, which is actually a Barcelona-based paper, has a firm message for the Catalan regional leader, Carlos Puigdemont, who will finally address Parliament tomorrow. The editors at the paper say, "We've already lost 1 week. Make a firm and solemn statement about your commitment to independence."
OK, right, we're moving on to another big story. Harvey Weinstein, famed Hollywood heavyweight producer who's been fired from his own film production company over these blistering allegations of sexual assault.
Very sordid indeed, Rochelle. These allegations were, of course, first reported by the New York Times late last week. And since then, it's sort of been just snowballing, more and more women coming forward with their own accounts of being allegedly sexually assaulted or harassed by Harvey Weinstein. His own lawyer, Lisa Bloom, quit among this scandal on the weekend, and Hollywood insiders are really hoping this is the final push, the one that'll change Hollywood forever. At least that's according to the New York Times, which quotes Jenny Connor, who co-produced the hit TV show Girls. She said, "The firing of Weinstein is going to scare any man in Hollywood using his power for anything but making movies and television." And this scandal comes, of course, in the wake of other ones like Bill Cosby, Roger Ailes, Roman Polanski, and of course Donald Trump himself. And it really shows that there's this need to change the Hollywood culture that enabled Weinstein and other rich, powerful men. That's in this article from Variety, which is a film magazine. Maureen Ryan says, "It's very simple to change the culture. I quote, you either improve environments in which the less powerful, usually women, are demeaned or derided, or you allow the toxicity to grow, but you have to choose a side."
OK, well, the fallout continues from this scandal with the Democrats seeking to put some distance with Weinstein.
That's right. It's really interesting. The Wall Street Journal actually reports that Weinstein, who, of course, is co-producer of Miramax, he's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Democrats over the years. The Wall Street Journal reports that Democrats are now trying to put some distance between themselves and Harvey Weinstein by donating this money, among other to charities, among them women's rights charities.
OK, well, let's head to Liberia now, where the country is gearing up to vote in national presidential elections tomorrow.
That's right. Tomorrow, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is stepping down after her 2 mandated terms. And this election is important because it is the first democratic transfer of power, or it will be at least. Ellen, as she's known, has left the country somewhat divided, according to The Guardian. They've interviewed some voters who say some believe she's done little for education and fighting corruption, but there are some who say that at least she maintained peace and stability in Liberia during her 2 terms. So people are still a bit divided. Anyway, she won't be representing herself, but there'll be her vice president who's standing in and hoping to become the next president. He'll be facing off against the Liberal Party candidate, Charles Brumskin, who's campaigning on an idea of real change. That's what his campaign is called. And among those real changes, he's even proposing to cut his own salary by 30% if elected.
Now, there are some 20 presidential candidates, all sort of jostling, all vying for this top job. The New York Times reports that they have unusual and questionable ways of campaigning.
That's right. This headline from the New York Times says it all. Cash, T-shirts and gallons of booze, how Liberian candidates woo voters. But that's actually not the focus of the article, because this is how they've done it in the past. They lure them with cash, prizes, gifts, presents, that sort of thing, only to, I quote, disappear behind tinted SUV windows once they're in power. This time, though, the New York Times reports that the tables have been turned on the politicians because civilians are offering themselves up to the politicians to help swell up crowds at political rallies, that kind of thing, in exchange for cash, food, alcohol, or T-shirts, with no guarantee that they'll actually vote for that candidate. So talk about using the political system.
Okay, Deepti, let's end with yet another controversy from a well-known cosmetics brand for its latest ad, which has been deemed racist.
That's right. They've been forced to issue a groveling apology because they showed an advert that had a dark-skinned woman removing her brown T-shirt to reveal a white woman underneath. It's yet another ad that's completely missed the mark and drawn scorn and criticism pretty much across the board for the website Mashable. It's outrageous given that this brand promotes real beauty and the fact that it's their second racist ad. The website says maybe it's time to stop letting men in boardrooms run their ad campaigns.
Okay, Deepti, thank you very much for that. Deepti Laurent there with the International Press Review.